360 Minutes with Nomfundo Sibanyoni.
Yes, it's Rise FM. Thanks a lot for turning us on. So the year's almost drawing to a close and it's award season all round. This evening we're joined by Setou from the Vumelana Advisory Fund. They are the organizers of the Vumelana Awards that will be taking place soon. Mr. Setou, welcome to Rise FM.
Thank you, Fudo.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Now, first things first, can you just tell us briefly about the Vumelana Advisory Fund? Who are you and what exactly do you do?
Vumelana Advisory Fund is a non-profit organization that helps communities or beneficiaries of land reform to develop their land. We do this through funding advisory services to structure commercially viable partnership between the beneficiary communities on the one hand and the investors, so that much needed jobs can be created, income can be created, and skills can be developed and transferred to these communities. Our work is generally complementary to what government is doing in developing rural communities and ensuring productive use of restored land.
What exactly had you identified was missing just after the land had been given back to its rightful owners? What exactly were the difficulties there that made you feel we've got to establish such a fund?
Well, one of the things that we established was that a lot of times when the land has been transferred to communities, it becomes economically inactive. It goes into disuse, and this is mainly because, amongst other things, communities do not have the skills, the requisite skills to actually continue to productively, run their projects. Too many of times they don't have the financial resources to run any businesses in those lands. For example, if it's agricultural land, a lot of times they don't have the money or input costs, for example, Some, because of poor governance, this results in infighting amongst the communities themselves.
Yes. But how important is basic good governance in terms of communal property institutions?
Good governance is important for every business and for the communities in particular. Good governance is a key ingredient in successful land reform projects. One of the biggest challenges, as I've said, that we've identified with beneficiaries of land reform, and possibly the biggest contributor to high failure rate of land reform projects, is low levels of compliance with basic requirements of good governance by the communal property associations. And this leads to mistrust and infightings and destruction of assets.
And if we had to gauge generally, how have we done with our land reform program?
Well, South Africa is facing a dilemma in the sense that the process of land reform has proceeded too slowly to satisfy post-liberation expectations. Much of the land that has been transferred to the communities has become economically active. We have situations where productive assets which were bought by government became obsolete. We've had workers losing their jobs, and the local economy, as it were, gets affected. This has often led to instability and resentment among the beneficiary communities. This is something that we as Vumelana have identified a need to assist in resolving some of the challenges that lead to this high failure rate that I've talked about of the land that has been transferred, through supporting such communities to mobilize much needed investments to ensure that the land is restored, to ensure that the land that has been restored is productive.
And what would you say to an argument where many say that there needs to be a proper handover or mentorship agreement with those that were the previous owners of the land? That if perhaps it's a business, there was farming activity there, that you cannot just have a situation where the owner just leaves, he's paid out and he goes, and you just allow the community to continue from there. There needs to be a proper handover where everything is done strategically through some sort of a process.
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, frequently what happens is the minute the land is bought from the previous owner, it's handed over to the community, and the community doesn't have, mostly, they do not have the skills to do this. So you are raising an important point of proper handing over. There needs to be some interventions to make sure that those communities who are handed over the land, that at least arrangements, for example, could be made with the previous owner to continue to do some hand-holding. Or for that matter, you could identify another investor who would be prepared to enter into some form of an arrangement with the community in terms of running some of these businesses.
But then comes another argument where some talk of the complex nature of some of these projects and land reform, that here you want the proper handover, but you'd find there'd be some that would say, no, we can't have historically advantaged individuals now benefiting from BEE. That here you have perhaps a white owner who has now been bought out, who still stays on and mentors this group of people, or at least becomes some sort of a partner. So what happens there when most are not willing to have that nuanced conversation? They say it's either black or it's white.
I suppose this is where we come in, for example, as Vumelana, to say it's very important that if there are any arrangements, for example, between the previous owner or for that matter any other investor, there is a need to make sure that the relationships are actually balanced, and there is a need to make sure that the beneficiaries, the community, is not put in a worse off position. You need to make sure that whatever arrangement they enter into are fair, and both to the community itself and to the mentor, or for that matter the advisor.
And then to the awards. We understand that you're having the Vumelana Governance Awards. When are they happening? How do people enter?
The Vumelana Governance Awards, just in short, are intended to incentivize and reward good governance practices by communal properties that have benefited from the land reform program. We believe that well-run and or governed CPAs will become more effective in driving developments on their land under their administration for the benefit of their members. Those entities that can prove their mettle stand to win prizes. The first prize is 200,000 and the second prize is 100,000. The beneficiaries who are interested to enter these awards have got up until the 4th of November to submit their entries.
Okay.
So we've got between now and the 4th of September to submit their entries, and as soon as we receive those entries, we will review them. There's a committee that's going to review that, and it will also be subjected to an independent review. And then once we've done this, then we will announce the date for the awards itself.
Oh, lovely. So you're having the grand finale, and actually with the shortlisted individuals, will they be told beforehand, or everybody's coming through and then on the day it will be a process where we shortlist and then eventually the grand prize is given to whomever?
All those who have entered will be provided with feedback in terms of their entries, and those that happen to win will be announced on the day.
Okay. Lovely. No, thank you very much, Mr. Setou, for joining us on Rise FM.
Thank you very much. No.
Rise FM in 60 minutes. In touch with Mpumalanga.
Yes, you're still listening to Rise. Thanks again for turning us on. So I've got a treat for all you book lovers, and maybe I'm talking more to the Thabo Mbeki appreciators. You might come from the same school of thought, although I'm a person that believes if you love books, you will even read those whose views you don't share, and more so because you desperately want to understand them. But anyway, this Thursday will be the official launch of the book, The Thabo Mbeki I Know. It will be here at the University of Mpumalanga. Yes, great things do happen here too. I bought mine. I'll post the cover on my social media platforms. Every time I'm reading something, I do share a few excerpts so that we get to talk about it. So it's our own little book club on social media. I'm actually, though, joined by one of the contributors of the book, Professor Sarote. Professor, welcome to Rise FM.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. Now, we understand that tomorrow night at the University of Mpumalanga, the book, The Thabo Mbeki I Know, will be officially launched in the province. Can you just tell us a bit about the book, because we understand you're also one of the contributors?
Yes. Well, there are several things about the book, you see. The book is written about a person who's alive. But to a very large extent written about the past that he lived with other people. And the people who write about President Mbeki family friends, African leaders, political advisors, support staff, cadres, friends from other countries and so on. All of them scholars, professionals, politicians and so